Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 213 of Empty Betters. I am your host, Harrison Scholes, and I'm going to toss it across the screen to my co-host, Mr. Nick Vanella. What's up, my friend?
Oh, it all keeps adding up. I think I'm cracking up. Am I just paranoid? Or am I just stoned? Dude,
That was beautiful.
it's another depression day, boys. You know what? I've already got the Stars jersey on. We're just gonna put what happened in the Caps Rangers series in the rear view and just pedal to the metal. Keep it going, boys.
Can't wait to talk about that one. Certainly excited for it. Now I'm going to toss it across the screen to my other co-host up in Wisco, Mr. McCain Vogel. What's going on?
What's up, y'all? I've actually got a little bit of a different outlook this year.
Mm.
Usually for the quote unquote depression day episode, we got the hood up, we got the sunglasses. I am rocking some serious sunnies today, but it's not because it's depression day. It's because the future is so goddamn bright for the Washington
Spin zone.
Capitals.
I like it.
And honestly, I think my sadness over that series lasted all of maybe 20 minutes. I took a shower right after the game, got out, and I was like, all right, well, anyway, next. We'll get into it more later. And there's some Twitter beef that lingers, and that's all fun and games too. But
That's just par for the course at this point,
yeah,
right?
exactly. But it's honestly, I've I've been laughing more than I've been crying or anything of that nature.
No, I
Mm.
go back to what Harry said at the start of the postseason, just excited to be a fly on the wall now. Now I'm like, I want all the chaos. Like, we'll
Yeah.
talk about a certain team that just got eliminated. I was like, I want them to come back from 3-1 down. But yeah, I'm here for all the craziness. Sign
It's
me up.
like
Let's
that.
get nuts.
It's like that meme, smiling through it all. Can't believe this is my life.
Yep.
The LeBron thing where he's in the
Yeah,
pool.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, stress-free hockey's nice, boys. It's a good time.
Welcome
Uh,
to our club. Welcome to our club. Welcome Squidward. Welcome Squidward. You're supposed to sing that to us, Harry. We always sing it to you when the
what club?
Penguins join
Which
the
club are
Caps
you?
shit club.
Which club are you joining? I'm
We're
the no
joining the
play.
club of not being in the playoffs and not winning any playoff
The
games in the year
Okay, I just had to.
Pittsburgh
2024.
Penguins Municipal Golf Club.
Right.
We got the greens warmed up for you, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Thanks.
before we go on a rant separately all about that, we'll save that for the cap segment. We got a lot to talk about. These first round episodes are always jam packed. There's a ton of news, ton of drama, lots to talk about. So we are going to get right into it. But before we do, this is just a reminder that this Western Conference playoff update is brought to you by Kane Footwear. Mr.
That's
Nick, I
right.
think you have a word.
Yeah, boys. I don't know if you had a chance to catch our story on Sunday, but I was pretty busy. I was ripping it up in Dover. We had a gorgeous day for a NASCAR race. Fun fact, the tickets I got from that race were 3 years old because that race gets rained out every year.
Oh,
So I went to, you just fill out like a weather waiver request and you get your same seats back for the next year. So I did that entire day by spending $38.
oh,
That
hell
included
yeah.
my beer, my food, sunscreen, everything. And I was comfortable through all of it because I had my cane footwear on the entire time. Standing up for an entire 400 lap NASCAR race at Dover, super comfortable, super cool. Head to the link in our bio today to get a pair of the most comfortable shoes you will ever own.
They just released it's like a creamsicle kind of orange with a white bottom, and man, it is slick. I might have to buy
It'd
myself
be
a
like
pair.
spiffy in the fall too. Maybe it's got like a little college football vibe to it.
Yeah, yeah, a little Longhorns action. Can't go wrong with that, right? Actually, you totally can. You know what else could go wrong is the Winnipeg Jets, who is going to tee us up for our first series update. And man, oh man, have the Colorado Avalanche turned it on. Since we last spoke, we had games 3 and 4 in Colorado go down, and the Avalanche scored a whopping 11 goals in those two games while the Winnipeg Jets only scored three. Before we go into the game analysis, your initial impressions, my friends.
I mean, Jesse Pollock from Bar Down. I mean, maybe we go a little bit calmer on Twitter next time because you asked for all the smoke and you got it. And
And then
shout out to
some.
Bar Down and Jesse. We absolutely love you guys. And shout out to Lucas still for ghosting us. We'd still love to have you on the show to talk about your abs. But Lord Almighty, did they poke the bear? And they got it for sure.
And then some. Mac, your thoughts?
Yeah, God, this has just been such a weird series. I kind of stand by. I'm not blaming Hellebuck. I know he's getting a lot of the grief. I know a lot of people are, even the Avs today tweeted like his. I don't know if you guys saw that, but they tweeted like his stats and said like this is what his stats are when it matters. Which like yeah, I get it, but I don't know. It that doesn't tell the whole story, and they know it. It's not on him in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think, you look at game three, I think that scoreline is pretty skewed. That was a tie game,
Yeah.
essentially, going into the third period or coming. I think the Avs were actually down going into the third period 2-1, and they just lit it up. So that I think is a little bit skewed, but I totally agree. I don't think you can fault Hellebuck here. I think the Avs just started to do Colorado Avalanche things, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've definitely been the better team. That's stating the obvious the past couple games. The thing that's really standing out to me here is it's the guys not named McCarr, McKinnon, Rantanen that are just really stepping up to the plate. That second line of Parise, Middlestat, and Lehkonen has been on an absolute bender the last two games. They look incredible. Middlestat specifically. He's got a bunch of assists over the past two games. I was kind of wondering where he was the first two. I was like, man, he shut me up. So
What
they
a
look really
nice
good.
ad for them. That's turned out to just be a perfect match.
And we talked about Pavelski last episode. Talk about another guy who you would just love to see hoist the cup. Zach Parise's been through it all. This is his last season. American born boy. You want to see him get a cup. That would be pretty cool.
That would
Yeah,
be.
it's like looking at the 2010 or 2014 U.S. Olympic team for guys we want to see win a cups between Parise, Pavelski, and Suter here. So any of those guys, I would be so thrilled for them. Obviously, with Parise, all that injury stuff comes to mind. Like, I mean, how is this guy still playing hockey at the NHL level? That is just mind blowing to me to consider at this
And
point.
doing so at an incredibly effective rate. Like
Yeah.
he's been noticeable every game, tearing it
Yeah,
up.
So he has one trip to the Cup final, and that was with the Devils in 2012, right?
that is correct.
I think so, yeah.
And I believe that was the same year he scored that wild round three overtime thriller to send him to no, that was Adam Henrique. I'm
Yep.
sorry. Wrong guy. But yeah, the Avs power play, we all knew it was going to be a problem coming into the series, and it's been a problem. That's for certain. I said it last episode, and then seeing what this guy just did in game four kind of solidifies it. But Cale Makar is he's a unicorn. Like he's not no one can mimic that. No one has the talent to kind of combat what he brings to the table. And that coast to coast goal that he scored in game four was ridiculous. I mean, maybe a little bit of a soft let in by Hellebuck, if I'm being honest, but the effort was unbelievable.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think it was really interesting what our friends over at Hockey Collective put on their story the other day is where do you put Makar right now in terms of like best defenseman in the world? Are you saying he's number one, number two? Are you guys like top three, top five? I feel like it's just a toss up between one or two for me.
Well, it's honestly kind of like the same thing we talk about when we talk about awards, right? It's like
Yeah,
what does it mean to be the best defenseman in the NHL? Does it mean you're the best shutdown in your own D zone, or does it mean you've got the highest offensive upside?
true.
It's like it is kind of. I'd argue Makar does kind of have best of both worlds in that department, but most people when they're talking about him being the best defenseman, they're talking about his offensive ability, which is kind of interesting.
For sure. I think if you factor in just the ability to skate backwards like he can, he might be the
Yeah.
most complete hockey player ever.
Yeah.
Just like a
He's
guy that could play forward, could play
yeah.
defense, no problem. I
That is
wouldn't be
fair.
shocked to find out he was like a nasty road hockey goalie or something growing up.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. And then lastly, we got to give a shout out to Valeri Nichushkin. Oh my goodness, this guy is having a series. 6 goals through 4 games. He's tied for most in the NHL with Zach Hyman, which is crazy to say considering these two cap hits. But yeah, Val looks great. Hattie in game four. He's the choo-choo train. It's chugging along. I mean, he's a force to be reckoned with in front of the net. So
Happy for this guy too. I know he's been through some shit. Glad to see he's doing well. Glad to see him producing for this team. I mean, he is an absolute weapon, especially on that man advantage. It is just crazy how much he can dominate.
Would really love to see the Jets find a way to make this interesting. I mean, I think we all thought this was going to be one of the most tight series from the start. And again, I really think Hellebuck has given them a chance to win, especially game 4. For me, I think he played outstanding. For me, that Makar goal is more like, if you really watch it, he goes coast to coast, but like there's the 3 Jets guys that he blows by. They really don't make much of an effort to do anything. Like, I know it's tough. He's like fast as lightning, and you're like, what? Yeah, what are you supposed to do? But come on, like they got caught so flat footed. He's coming from behind his own net. You had time. I don't think
yeah,
that's on Hellbuck for me.
Even if you take a penalty there, you got to do something to slow him down or stop him
Right,
at least.
right.
It's sort of like I'll make a basketball analogy. Like you just got to stop the ball sometimes. I don't
Yeah,
care if you take the foul, stop the ball.
right. And when he shoots it too, he's coming one way and shoots it back the other way, and that's tough for a goalie too. So I'll bail Helly out on that one.
they yanked him, so we'll see what game 5 holds. I want to put you guys in the spot. You think the Avs close it out? Just a yes or no.
I think we're going back to Winnipeg for game 5. I think the Jets at home get a boost
I
there, and
I
then the
agree.
Avs close it in 6.
I agree.
It's probably right.
I
So
agree with
shout
that.
out to the Avs for closing out that series in 5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
if you've been following along on the EB
Jesus.
run the board, it's been quite the run here lately.
I'm
Also, there's
turning it around tonight. By the time you're listening, you'll know if that's bullshit or not. But
yeah,
I got the first one. We'll see if I'm right about the Stars tonight.
for sure. All right, the next series, just another strange one, and we'll get into that in a second. The Canucks and the Predators. The Vancouver Canucks go into Nashville and take both games somehow, some way, with 2 different goalies in both games. An absolutely wild storyline out of Nashville. Game 3, Vancouver wins 2-1. They had 12 shots on goal, ladies and gentlemen. That is unheard of. I think I heard the only team who's won a game with less shots on goal in the playoffs was the Pittsburgh Penguins against the Nashville Predators. I was at that game live. That was game 1 of 2017, which
Got
is
your money's
crazy to
worth
think
for that
about.
one, huh?
Yeah, I was, that was an interesting game in itself, but Vancouver just they blocked everything. We said last episode, I think it was game 2, Nashville blocked every shot imaginable. Well, that's exactly what Vancouver did in game 3. They blocked 30 shots in game 3 compared to Nashville's 11, but in that game 2, Nashville also blocked 30 shots, Vancouver only 8. So, Casey DeSmith gets the nod there. We all heard about the Demko injury. He stops 29 of 30. And JT Miller, I mean, guy who's been a little bit of a cash cow for me this year. He is everything you want in playoff hockey. Big, skilled, piss and vinegar. He's like I don't want to compare him to Matthew Tkachuk in that regard because they're not exactly the same, but like it's kind of a similar vibe there. But he looked great in game 3.
Yeah, I mean, when a player like that can just sort of take over for you, I really don't think you can put into words what that means to a locker room, especially with a team like Vancouver. So I definitely did not have them getting both games in Nashville. That absolutely blew my mind. But I got to give props to Casey DeSmith, dude. Like he came in there and did what he had to do. And the team absolutely, I mean, you nailed it with the block shots thing. They laid down in front of everything for that guy, which was just awesome to see.
So I missed this game. I saw game 4, so I'll tee off in a second. But question for you guys: if you watched this one, what did happen to Smith? He got hurt at the end of the game or something, or
No, he played the whole game. It nobody knew he was hurt until like the morning of game 4, which was the
because what
weird
was
part.
weird too, like I just said, I watched all of game 4 from start to finish. I didn't miss a single second of that game. And they said he was the emergency backup goalie for the game. And
Right.
they
It was
even
E-bug.
showed him in the tunnel.
Yeah.
like dressed in his gear, and even the announcers were confused. They were like, "How can he be the e-bug if
Yeah.
he's not good enough to start the game?" I don't
Why
understand.
he has to go in for Nashville or something.
Well, that
Yeah.
too. Yeah, I don't know. Like literally,
Can
the
you
announcers
imagine?
were like, "I don't understand what this means at all." Like one of them basically said that he was like, "I don't get that," but okay.
The
Yeah.
only thing that I heard in response to that was they were just trying to like ensure that they don't play him as a precautionary measure because I guess he tweaked something. I don't know. I'm just kind of repeating what I heard on 32 Thoughts. But yeah, I that was definitely a little weird.
I understand the precautionary mindset to it because obviously, I mean, who the fuck knows what's going on with Demko? He could come back tomorrow, or we might see him play again in like 4 years at this point. We're not getting any timeline there. So you obviously don't want to go out and just like trash the one remaining actual like starting goalie
Yeah.
option you have right now.
I mean, sure, but there's also the argument where, like, if you don't win these games, there's
That's very
nothing to
true.
fucking save it for, right?
Yeah.
Like, which, I mean, I guess what the fuck do I know? Because they stick in Arthur and they fucking win.
So,
So,
so that
And I
segues
said, hey,
that segues so perfectly to game four, where Vancouver pulls off one of the best comebacks you will ever see. They end up taking this game 4-3 in overtime. And like I said just now, before puck drop, the Smith announced injured, and the Canucks start third string Artis Shilovs. And there is no SH in his name, but I heard the announcer say she loves, so that's how I'm going to say it. And if that offends you, I apologize. Not really. He stopped 27 of 30 shots in his debut, secured the win. The Predators were leading this game 3-1 with 2:47 left in the third period. And a guy by the name of Brock Besser, and I met his aunt in Cabo on a boat, and she told me he would get an interview with us. And I texted her 3 times, and it never worked out. But Brock Besser goes rogue in the final 2 minutes of the third period and ties the game and gets his hat trick, scored all 3 goals for Vancouver in regulation. And man, oh man, with 6 seconds left, he ties the game 3-3. And Elias Lindholm, 1 minute into OT, ices the game. Your guys' thoughts?
my favorite cliche for the Stanley Cup playoffs, I say it every year, gonna bust it out this year for the first time, is to win a Stanley Cup, you have to win games you are not supposed to win. This was a game the Vancouver Canucks were absolutely not supposed to win. Like you mentioned, they're down 3-1, time's running out, and lo and behold, somehow, some way, this team walks out of there with a win.
not even that they weren't supposed to win, they did not fucking deserve to win. Like they
Very
like
true.
this was just one of the worst games you could play, in my opinion. Like again, I said I watched this whole game. I was in the back of a car driving from Kansas City back to Illinois and then back to Milwaukee later. And I was streaming this on my phone. And I was absolutely dialed in for every second of this game. It actually was sick because it made the car ride go way quicker. But all that aside, they played like dog shit. Like they looked horrible. They had what, like 15 shots on goal in this one too, or something.
Yeah, it was not good.
And they just, I mean, here was something I thought was really interesting in this game. It's 3-1. This is shortly before they score the first one to make it 3-2. There was maybe, I don't know, I think it was the last TV timeout. So there's maybe 4 or 5 minutes left in the game. They come back and the announcers are making a big, like the commentators are making a big fuss about how during the whole TV timeout, which is like 90-second break, the Predators bench, Andrew Burnett had them literally huddled up like a football team and had like total like control, was like talking to them, said like a million things, and like they showed footage of it. Like they are literally all huddled up like a football team, dialed into what their coach is saying about protecting that 3-1 lead for the next 4 minutes and getting out of there. And on the other side, the Canucks bench, Tocchet didn't say a word. They're all just skating around. None of them are talking to each other.
I love it.
They all look like they don't know what the fuck is going on. They're
I love it.
like all like skating around in La La Land. And 4.5 minutes later of game time, it's tied going to overtime somehow. So I don't fucking know. It doesn't make any sense.
Rick Tocchet is the man, and I say that with a huge amount of bias as a Penguins fan, but man, do I miss him. But that is such a Rick Tocchet like team. It's like, yeah, We don't really need a fucking timeout. Like, you guys know what you have to do. We've done it. So like,
it's almost like the tough love thing or something. Like him
yeah.
just being like, "No, I'm not gonna fucking tell you what to do because, like you said, you know what to do, and if you don't do it, I'm gonna be fucking pissed at you,
It's
probably."
like when you were a kid and your mom would go, I'm going to count to three. And she goes, one, two, two and a half. She's like, if I say three, and that's when you snap it into high gear.
Yeah, yeah. That Lindholm OT winner, I believe it was Connor Garland who gave the feed from behind the net. I hope I'm right on that. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but
I
that
think so.
pass, that pass was awesome. And Ryan O'Reilly, you could see him be like, "Oh fuck, that's my guy." And out of all the people in the world that you wouldn't expect to blow coverage, Ryan O'Reilly does. Lindholm makes him pay. And we are 3-1 Vancouver going all the way back out west.
That's
Pretty
it's
tough.
I feel like this is probably for any of the teams so far that have been in the Stanley Cup playoffs, this is the biggest loss for a team because you go from the possibility of having a brand new series going back to Vancouver to now this team is going back home with the chance to put the nail in the coffin for you.
And speaking of nail and coffin, Colton Sissons had the chance to do that. He had an empty net when they were up. I think it was when they were up 3-1. Maybe it was when it was 3-2. And he just kind of gave like a shovel backhander towards the net and it hit off the left post. The whole crowd, they put it like at an angle from the corner where the crowd's got their hands up, and then they're like, "Oh my God." And within 2 minutes, they're toast. It's just crazy how that worked. So weird. A little bit of a series note here. The Canucks have 71 shots through 4 games of this series. That is the fewest in NHL history through 4 games of an opening round. I think the opening round there is a key.
All right, so two quick questions for you, and they kind of play into each other before we move on. One, I'm gonna add. We talked about it last game. I kind of defended him, but I think it's fair now through 4 games. Elias Pettersson, 4 games played, 2 assists, no goals. He's -3. Does he wake up at any point during this series? And number two, is this going to catch up with the Canucks? Like, are the Predators have been the better team in this entire series, in my opinion? Do they find a way to scrape this together and steal the next one and get back into this series? What's going to happen?
Nick, you go.
I Yeah, I think that there is a very real chance that this still does go seven. I am by no means counting this Preds team out. I mean, we've been calling them the pesky Preds for a reason. It's also Vancouver, and like I hate to say this, but it's also Vancouver in the postseason. So there is a huge recency bias, at least in my pea brain, that's going, ah, man, dude, there's a lot of horror stories there for you guys in the playoffs. Can the team stand up to that pressure, especially at home? Because if they drop this game five, that building is going to be so freaking tense. I don't know if the Pedersen thing comes back to bite him in the ass because, like, I mean, like Harry talked about, JT Miller's woke up. Brock Besser, single-handedly putting the team on his back here for a second. Lindholm with the OT winner. So you're getting production out of really the other guys you would turn to and look at. Now, if we go into like the second round here and this guy has
Hmm.
no goals through
Yeah.
2 or 3 more games, that is a very serious problem.
Yeah. If they go into Edmonton with Pedersen not playing the way he's capable, they're absolutely toast.
Especially for a guy who just got paid too.
Yeah, I think Vancouver will win game 5, and here's why. They didn't play well. Like, I mean, I shouldn't say that. They didn't dominate, they didn't dictate the play. And I think Tockett's gonna nail that into them, be like, tonight you gotta dictate the play. And I hope I like this Canucks team. A little bit of Penguins West here, obviously, but like I hope they end up closing out, but I am not by any means counting out the Preds. I think if there's one team down 3-1, that's probably the one team everybody's like, they could still do it.
They're also that one team where, and I would sort of put the Jets in the same book here if they were playing anyone else other than Colorado, is just you don't want to give that team anything at all. Kill them, bury them, be done with it. Do not let them get any sort of momentum here.
It literally is like cutting a snake in half and burying
Yes.
each half in like two different like holes 3 miles away.
Yep. Absolutely.
Alrighty, well, we move on to our next series, the Dallas Stars versus the Vegas Golden Knights. an epic game 3, and a man by the name of Wyatt Johnston. Some would say he is a shining star. Haha, get it? Team high, 8 shots, 2 goals, OT winner, saved the Stars season basically from an epic collapse after the hell of a performance they had in the regular season. Ottinger wins the goaltending duel despite Logan Thompson quite literally playing out of his mind, stopping a career high 43 shots. I'm going to be honest, I only got to watch the highlights on this one. Not sure if you guys got to watch the full game, but if you did, give me the game notes here.
Yeah, this was just a great game to watch. And we've had better goaltending battles, but I thoroughly enjoyed this one because I just had the overwhelming impression that whoever stopped the most pucks was going to, end up winning this hockey game. And I mean, shout out to Logan Thompson. Guy played absolutely out of his mind, but Wyatt Johnston, dear Lord, was he just on a different planet that game. And these are just sometimes the games that you need where one guy is just feeling it. Everything he touches goes in. And that was his night for sure.
That overtime goal was
Ooh,
so sick.
ooh.
Like so unbelievably cool.
So we get game 4 going on live here as we're recording. I just checked the score. Looks like 3 minutes left in the first period. Vegas is up 1-0.
Correct.
Amadio with the goal. Wow, that's a weird one. So yeah, I mean, I don't
It's a
know.
me, a Mario.
Nick, Nick, what do you think? You're the star. I'm declaring you the stars guy on the pod. We talked about it before we recorded. Like, what's your gut telling you?
Yep, like I said, I've been a Stars guy pretty much for like the past half year, 6 months. My dad actually gave me some shit the other day. He's like, "Yeah, you've been high on the Stars for like 2.5 years now. When's that gonna pay off?" I'm like,
It's true. We've both been high on the stars since we started the show.
"Yeah, absolutely." I like this team, man. I don't want to see this team go out in the first round. And I know it's Vegas, and I know I'm consistently hating on Vegas on this show, but I was going back and forth with our buddy Nick Bowens over at Hockey Collective today, and we were just talking about all the different reasons why it's easy to root for this Dallas Stars team. Obviously, big J Rob guy, you guys know that, the California connection, that's pretty cool. The Suter Pavelski thing is great, but then there's young guys like Wyatt Johnston and Logan Stankoven that are just so much fun to watch. Miro Heiskanen, still one of my favorite players in the NHL. He scored the other night. That was fantastic to see. Love it when he gets involved in the offensive play. And yeah, I mean, hard not to root for Otter too. I really like the momentum that I think this team can put together. I really hope that they tie the series up tonight, and I think they will.
I'll tell you what, if you're listening, you already know the result, but this is a must win. You are not coming back down 3-1 against Vegas. You're not.
100%.
You gotta win this game. That's it.
Fucking Vegas, man. I swear, it's crazy. It's
What do
crazy
you
that
think, Harry? Do you think they tie it up tonight, or do you think Vegas gets it done?
I leaned Vegas, and I think I texted you guys. The only reason why is because Vegas got outplayed last game, and they lost. I mean, it is what it is. So I would strongly expect that they come back in this game 4. I mean, they're up 1-0, so maybe I have a little bit of knowledge that I shouldn't have, but
It'll be pretty bonkers if both of these teams win the first two games like on the road.
Yeah. I do love when we put ourselves on the spot for these games that the listeners already know the answer to because it
yeah.
makes us look either really stupid or really smart. And the Stars tied it.
1-1, boys. We have a tie hockey game
I take
here.
it back to start. No, I'm just so yeah, unfortunately that's going on while we're recording. It's 10:30 at night right now, so we gotta keep it going. But
E Daddy ties it up.
nice. The next series, the Edmonton Oilers and the LA Kings, and my goodness, the Oilers look like an absolute wagon. They quite literally just destroyed the Kings in game 3. Edmonton puts up a touchdown and missed the extra point. 6-1 win over the Kings. They had 3 power play goals on 7 opportunities, and the Kings go 0 for 5 on the power play. Both Hyman and Draisaitl got a pair of goals, and Hyman continues to torture the NHL as the best crease monkey that we've ever witnessed. He is tied, like I mentioned earlier, for the lead in playoff goals with Nichushkin at 6. I mean, the Kings ended up giving 40 shots to the Oilers. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say you're gonna lose most games that happens, just given the roster we're looking at.
100%. You're not going to survive a shootout with that team. I think that Colorado is probably the only team on the face of the earth right now that could do that. So that's also just a numbers game. Like look up and down those two rosters. One of those teams is a lot better on paper than the other one is, and I think that's just what happened in game 3 there.
Mac, any thoughts, or should I move on to game 4?
I want to talk about game 4. I have a lot to say.
Same here.
So the Oilers end up squeaking out a 1-0 win in game 4. Yes, you heard that correctly. I don't think any of us would have predicted if one of these teams won 1-0 that it would be the Oilers, but here we are. The Kings decide to go with large stoppage. Big save Dave Rittich over Talbot. And the Kings brought it. They played a really good game. I would say they outplayed the Oilers, but Stuart Skinner gets his first career postseason shutout, 33 saves on the night. The Kings outshot the Oilers 33-13. Evan Bouchard with the lone goal on, you guessed it, the power play with 8:11 left in the second period. A gut punch to the Kings. Mac, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is another one. Like they just did not deserve to win this game. Like you said, they got outplayed. I thought Dave played well. I thought he played really well. I'll be interested to see. I feel like at this point probably stick with him after that game. Um, but yeah, I don't really get this game. Like I had a hard time trying to like pull something away from this as a positive for the Kings. It seems like you did all you could do and you just kind of get fucked. And you got goalied by Stuart Skinner. How the fuck does that happen?
In the postseason, nonetheless.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think this is the most impressive playoff game I have seen the Edmonton Oilers play, though, because,
Yeah.
Stuart Skinner faces 33,
maybe
stops all 33.
defensively.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, I mean, let's be real, though. What have the Oilers been missing in the playoffs for the last 5.5
Yeah.
years is competent team defense. I mean,
What's funny is they can't put the two together.
it's one or the other. It's A or B, never both. But, I mean, 13 shots and you come out of there a 1-0 winner. I mean, anyone that blocked a shot, anyone that got in a lane, anyone that disrupted, someone else's stick, buy him a drink because that was a total team effort, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a matured Edmonton Oiler win. That's what people have saying they couldn't do for the past 3 to 4 seasons, and now they do it. I mean, the real difference in this series, in a nutshell, has been the special teams. There's no other way to put it. The Oilers currently have a 53.3% power play through 4 games of the series. They are scoring on over half of their power plays. That is the fourth best power play percentage all time through the first 4 games of any postseason series. Just to kind of read this off, and funny enough, this first one, Max sent me a clip earlier and it gave me PTSD. But the Flyers had a 60% power play against the Pens in 2012. The Kings had a 56.5% power play against the Canucks in 2010. And then third and fourth are the Oilers from last year and then the Oilers from this year. So that should probably tell
Both
you
against
something.
the Kings.
Both against the,
Brutal.
yeah.
I think the
So
bigger like storyline here is the Kings power play. Just the fact that they do not have one goal at all is just mind blowing to me. I mean, that's
they're
just like that's never going to work, especially against the Oilers. You have to capitalize on any chance you get. So, what is it? 0 for 11, 0 for 12 on the power play now?
they are 0 for 11 on the power play, and that penalty kill was the second best in the regular season, and they are getting tortured by the Oilers. So I'm gonna maybe say it. This might be the best power play we've ever seen in the sport. I mean, it's ridiculous what they're doing. So penalties
There
and
was
auto
there
goals.
was that other one in the 80s that was pretty good for the Oilers, but
Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to dispute that. I'm never going to say no to a 99, but this is ridiculous what they're doing. But
it is
any final thoughts on this before we move on to the Eastern Conference?
I don't see a way the Kings can win this series anymore,
No, they're cooked.
unfortunately.
big time toast.
Yeah, they're cooked. Oilers in 5, book it. I would put my mortgage on that. So, and I don't even own a house, so that's not saying much. All right, we are going to move on to the Eastern Conference playoff updates. But before we do, we have a new message from our friends over at DraftKings. I think Nick has something to say.
This episode of Empty Betters is brought to you by DraftKings. The chase for the Stanley Cup is on, and if you're looking to light the lamp, nothing beats the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. From the start of the playoff beards all the way till the hoisting of the cup, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting, odds boost, and so much more. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. New customers bet $5 and get $200 bonus bets instantly. That's code THPN only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Alrighty, now we are going to start up the Eastern Conference updates. And this series just ended right before we hopped on. It's kind of why we're hanging out late night tonight. The Florida Panthers officially take down the Tampa Bay Lightning in 5 games. One that I don't think a lot of people saw ending in 5, but Florida dominates. They looked really good. Mac, your thoughts on the series? You were the only guy who had Florida out of the 3 of us.
Meow, meow.
Kaboom. Did anyone hear that? That's my bracket blowing up right now.
No, this is great. I love this Panthers team. I'm super in on the Cats bandwagon. They're just fun. They're a certified fun hockey team. A lot to like about them. I also there's something so good about these behind the bench Paul Maurice holy crap. Every time Emily Kaplan or anybody asks him a question, he just has the most priceless answers. I can't even like do it justice. You just got to watch. But if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I think the Panthers are one of those rare teams that after going to the cup final and losing could make it back. I really think they could. And that's hard to do.
I totally agree. And just looking at the series, now that we've seen it wrap up, I think hands down the most impressive thing that Panthers team did is basically nullify a guy that got 150 points in the regular season. I mean, they took Nikita Kucherov completely out of this series and basically said, okay, if Steven Stamkos can score you 9 goals a game, you guys can win here. But if he doesn't, then sorry, suck it. First playoff series win for the Panthers in this Battle of Florida. So that's awesome that we've got a little bit of parity there now. Love that building, especially when they're throwing the rats at the end. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I also just think it's incredibly impressive. I mean, this Lightning team, we all know, no matter what their regular season standings are, wild card, divisional winner, it doesn't matter. They're always a tough team to knock out. And I just think it's really impressive the way that they were able to beat them in 5 and basically have their way with them. Like, honestly, it wasn't that close.
They bullied them. They did. Florida's one of those teams where it's weird. They can play a skill game, but they can muck it up with like the Bostons or the Vegases. Like they got the best of both worlds in that regard. Instead of going through like all the games, because we'll be here forever. We've got 3 games since we last spoke. My only thing on game 5, what are your thoughts on the 2 goalie interference calls that we got for Tampa? Because that really shifted the game, in my opinion.
So I would love to discuss this. I think the first one, I'm seeing all kinds of, Tampa got hosed and the refs, this and that on Twitter. And let me stop you right there. The first one I think is totally legit. Bobrovsky is trying to cut. If you watch it again, he is literally in the motion of trying to put his glove hand down on the puck to freeze the puck. And the skate, who was it? Was it Duclair
Yeah.
Duclair's skate is in the crease by his own volition. He wasn't pushed or anything. His skate is in the crease, directly stopping Bob from being able to cover that puck. It's in the way. So because he can't, with his left hand, get to that puck, he has to then move and lunge at it with his stick. And he ends up kind of swatting at the puck and basically like taps the puck to who scored the goal. I can't even remember now.
Cirelli.
Yeah, that's right. He taps it basically to Cirelli, who scores the goal. To me, the goal is a direct result of the goalie interference. Like that whole play doesn't happen if Cirelli's not in the way of him. Bob covers the puck in any other situation, and it's a whistle and it's a face-off. So I think that one's totally legit in my eyes. I don't get people complaining about that one. The second one is definitely a little more murky, and we can
I
talk
agree.
about that. But I don't know if you guys have any feedback on the first one.
So I know I was saying in our group chat, when that first goal went, I was like, oh, come on, this is so lame. And that's just mainly because I want Tampa to win for my own selfish bracket related, or sorry, former bracket related reasons. But uh, yeah, that's absolutely goalie interference. I mean, I think you nailed it. It's the play that was made by Duclair directly interfered with that goalie, with Bob having a chance at stopping the puck. So you got to call that. I think it was the right call. Second one, totally agree. A lot more on the edge. I've seen that one go both ways probably 10 to 15 times this season alone.
Yeah, the second one I thought should have counted. Honestly, the first one, I understand why they called it back, but and I hope Nick Bowens runs the Hockey Collective Twitter. If he doesn't, then I don't know if he does. I'm going to assume it's him when I say this, but he tweeted this and I 100% agreed. Said I understand on the first one why they called it back, but then he said I think he said, but I don't like it. Like I don't like that they're like going to review for that because like real time, it's like you don't really even see it. I know it goes fast. That's not an excuse. It's just something weird about, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into it too much, but I agreed.
I mean, to that effect, it's definitely one of those things where you can't fault anyone. Like Duclair is doing his job. He's doing
Yeah.
exactly what he should do, is like screen the goalie, be in the yeah, even be in the crease, honestly. Um what what I don't like about the second one is waving it off. And correct me if I'm wrong, he waved it off and pointed, and he didn't even say goalie interference. He said players in the crease.
Or
That
something
is
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
that is
like
such a
right away, it
stupid,
was
yeah,
waved off.
like as the puck is going in almost. That is the dumbest. I used to hate this when I played hockey in high school. Is like the random out of left field ref that just for once in an entire season wants to all of a sudden call like a crease violation,
Yeah.
which is
A
like a
crease violation hasn't been called in the NHL in what, 15 years?
yeah, it's so stupid. And to me, if you look at the replay, I'm pretty sure that's what he's initially calling. I don't think he said goalie interference. I think he literally points and says, no, player in white is in the crease and
When,
waves it off, which that just doesn't make any sense. But whatever, it gets reviewed, gets challenged for the goalie interference. And this is so hard, man, because he's spinning off of him by his own volition, but also I think it's Mikkola in front of the net for the Panthers. He's kind of pinning him to the goalie too. So he's kind of not really giving him a choice. That's really the only route he had. You're not going to go the other way around him. I
yeah.
don't know.
No, it was
There's
tough.
nothing else you can really do if you're the Tampa player. That's why I maybe don't like that one as much, because you're kind of handcuffed. I don't know what else you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I think it's just a tough situation. I know that, there's been a ton of backlash on Coop. Like, why would you challenge that when you're gonna lose the challenge and,
I
give
think
up
it's
a
the right
power play?
call.
Absolutely the right call, in my opinion. You have the
Yeah.
chance to go into that third period tied. You
Yeah.
have to take that risk.
And I think every player on that team who is going to end up killing that penalty is saying, "Do it. We'll kill
Roll
the
the
penalty."
dice.
Yeah,
Why
that,
not? I mean,
like
you got to do something to get
that's
back into that
also as a
series.
coach, you're injecting some confidence into your players, saying, "I don't care if we lose this. We'll kill the penalty just fine," and they did.
Right.
Yeah. Desperate times call for desperate measures. I didn't have a problem with that.
I think my big takeaway from Tampa is, like, I know I just mentioned the Kucherov thing, but that team looked off. I don't think there's any if, ands, or buts about that. Hedman had some, sketchy turnovers throughout there. Obviously, we know they were banged up. We had talked ad nauseum about, this team is not as deep as they used to be. I think that was put on full display here for sure. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I think all that credit has to go to the Panthers for how they handled Tampa Bay. That is
It was
no easy
impressive.
task, and they just completely neutralized that team.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say, holy hell, hats off to Sergachev for playing in this series. I don't even my brain can't comprehend how you do that. I
Did you see the shot block he had? He went on
yeah,
one knee and took it, and I was like, "You just broke it 3 months ago."
yeah.
It's
I broke
crazy.
my knee like 4 years ago and it still hurts sometimes. Like I don't I know I'm not a pro athlete, but holy shit, dude. That is
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Max on LTIR for beer league, eh?
I'm coming back actually. First side note, my first beer league game, I took the winter off. So my first beer league game in several months is this coming Sunday on Cinco de Mayo.
Oh
Uh, you,
God.
you
Like, do you
sound like
want to
Mark.
just help
He's
maybe
Mark.
healthy scratch that one just to, give everyone benefit of the doubt?
No, because there's only 10 games in the summer league, and I already have to miss 3 of them for vacation. So
He's
Over under 2.5 margs prior to that puck drop.
it should
shoots
be
you
higher.
over.
You should set that higher.
He's like Mark Stone
Yeah.
coming back after a couple months. Two things, and then we'll move on. Steven Stamkos, I tip my cap to you because you brought it. You looked great in this series. A goal in every game besides game five. He had 5 goals and an assist through the first four. I can't remember if he got a point tonight. I don't think he did, but yeah, he brought it. Maybe his last game in a Tampa uniform. I hope not,
I
especially
mean,
after this series.
Steve Levy
It's
only said it
not.
every 30 seconds on
It's
the
not.
broadcast. I'm like, dude, like, can you just calm down and
It's
let them
not. I
finish
know.
or talk
I'm
about
so
anything else going
sick.
on in this game?
We've been having this conversation for way too fucking long. He's gonna resign. Everybody relax.
And then Verhage. I mean, the dude is just a gamer. His schlong is hanging to his ankles at the moment. It's ridiculous how good he is in the postseason.
We
So,
have our new
yeah,
Justin Williams for sure in the NHL.
I, on steroids, I would argue. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's insane. All right, next series. This might be. Let's. I don't know if this is going to be really short or really long. So just buckle up and go along for the ride. The New York Rangers have officially swept the Washington Capitals. I'm not going to read anything on the notes. I'm going to let the fellas take the floor because they deserve it.
Yeah, the better team won. So that's an absolute no-brainer. Um, Hands down, I think before we get into anything, I just have to say this. I know Mac and I both came on here during the playoff previews and we were beating the Capitals drum. We both said Caps in 7 and just went full delusion into thinking that this hockey team had a fighting chance. But that's what you do when you're a fan of a hockey team. You ride with them, you die with them. Hands down, my favorite part about that whole 1.5 week pipe dream we had was simply the fact that Mac and I have learned absolutely nothing from the last 20 plus years of Washington Capitals fandom. All those lessons we were taught. And the only exception we ever had to that was 2018 when they won the Stanley Cup. And we're like, nope, this team that barely scraped its ass into the playoffs is going to beat the President's Trophy winning New York Rangers in 7 games.
It's actually laugh out loud funny. It
And
it,
I
it
mean,
really is.
I just, hats off to the Rangers. They're absolutely the better team. Laviolette knew how to handle this Capitals team. I don't think that's a
Yeah.
secret by any means. I said it like 14 times, to people on here in our series previews. If Vincent Trocheck gets hot, the Caps are fucked. Well, what did they let him do? He got hot and the
Yeah.
Caps got fucked.
Yeah.
Shout out to, that whole team though. Spencer Carberry and that team, they battled as best they could throughout this entire season. I mean, you look at this season in a nutshell, you go from, starting the year not having Pacioretty, then Backstrom plays 3.5 weeks and is essentially done. And then, Oshie's in for 2 games, out for 14, in for 1, out for 7. The Kuznetsov thing, you're dealing with, probably playing with 8 different defensemen for the majority of your year. Carberry's first year, first postseason experience as a head coach. Hats off to that team for all they battled through this season. And, I think there are a lot of positives, but yeah, absolutely some serious crack smoking delusion from 2 out of the 3 here on this show.
Agree. That was
That was incredible.
apologies. That was crazy. But you know, this is incredibly impressive to me, the season that they had. And honestly, I I will die on this sword. I think it's impressive what we did in that series too. This is a team that won the President's Trophy. Harry wanted to say this is the most lopsided series he's ever seen, and Mark Corderaro wanted to tweet at me and say how little we had a lead in the series or whatever, and that's all fine and that's all true. But to me, every single one of those games we're pulling the goalie, we're trying to score at the end of the game. You're right in it. You're right in it. And to do that, as shitty as a team we are, and as good as a team they are, I truly believe, like, let's just compare for a second. The Rangers and the Florida Panthers, who are the only two teams so far that are moving on to the second round. They're not going to play each other yet, but which is more impressive? Beating the shit ass Capitals in 4 games, and like none of the games are really a blowout, in my opinion, or beating the Tampa Bay Lightning in 5 games. What team are you more worried about making a cup run? That's a question I have for anyone who's
That
listening.
is that is a fantastic point, because now the Rangers not only did they've only played 4 games, now they're sitting. So they're the first team through, but they are not battle tested.
I
This
think we
is
actually kind of fucked them a little bit. Like we low key kind of screwed them
Once
because
again, we got them right where we want them.
they faced zero adversity by playing the shit
oh
ass Capitals.
God.
And now they have to, like you said, sit around and they're going to have to play the Hurricanes, who at least have had a little bit of adversity with the Islanders winning at least 1 game. We'll see if they can do anything more than that. But yeah, it's go Canes, and then it's immediately fuck the Canes after that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll take it from there.
So
But
let's address the OV thing. I know everyone
yeah,
is talking about the OV stat line. I had a ton of people ask me about that in person,
yeah,
text me about it, what is going on.
it's fair.
I'm just going to tell you what's going on right now. The guy's 38 years old.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. So we all
Listen,
saw what he was capable of doing in the second half of that season.
yeah.
That being said, it's still very easily to neutralize a 38-year-old like that, when the entire Rangers team can probably skate twice as fast as him at this point.
Yeah, here's my thing on Ovi. He's no longer the type of player that's capable of taking over a series, or even really a playoff game like that. He's not that player anymore. And you could argue that Sidney Crosby is, and he maybe could have taken over a game or parts of that series if the Penguins had made it. And I think that's a fair argument. But I just think, with Ovi, he's got at his age his strengths that he's still really good at, and it's pretty easy, like you said, to kind of like pinpoint what those strengths are and neutralize them and just make them a non-issue when you're playing that same team every night. You've got the guys that are responsible for covering it. What's funny is the casuals being like, "Oh my god, he should retire now," or like, "Oh my god, they should trade him,"
So
or
stupid.
it's like,
So
dude,
stupid.
everybody relax. Like he's still gonna break the record. He's gonna retire at Capital. He'll probably still score 20 to 30 goals the next 2 seasons each. It's gonna be fine. I'm not really that worried about it. It's a little disheartening for sure as a Caps fan to come to terms with the fact that, like, yeah, in the future, if we do make the playoffs next year or the year after, Ovi's kind of not that guy. He's no
Yeah.
longer like that dude. Do I still think he can be effective in a playoff series if we do make it next year or the year after? I do. I think there's ways. Again, GMBM is an incredible general manager, in my opinion. I think he's extremely talented in terms of re-weaponizing the team. He's done that a lot, and I'm very excited to see what he might be able to do this offseason. He's kind of gotten the handcuffs taken off him with some of the salary stuff here too. We'll see what happens with Oshie. The big question mark, Kemper. We don't know. There's a lot of question marks, but yeah, I think the future is bright. I said at the beginning of the episode, the biggest casuals in the world are trying to say that the Caps are going to be like a lottery team for the next like 5 to 10 years. Holy hell, you have no idea what you're talking about. I mean, just delusional. Like, I'll call you right. I'll call you out, Red Wings fans. Just because you guys had to spend, what was it, 10 years missing the playoffs or whatever the fuck, doesn't mean that we're doing that. So, yeah, pack a lunch.
The prospect pool is definitely bright. The Wings have what, like 20 guys under the age of 25 in their system that are going to be in the NHL within the next 3 or 4 years. But Yeah, I think you make a great point about GMBM. Like you said, he took the handcuffs off there. I'd actually argue let's put the kinky cuffs on here in the offseason and get some frisky moves going. I think, like you mentioned, you probably see Darcy Kemper go. I think you've got your one in Charlie Lindgren. I think he secured that job pretty much from January on. That was a
He's got a
no-brainer
year
for me.
left too, so we'll
He's
see
got
on
a year
that.
left, and essentially you can just ride with Shep now. Bring up Shep Daddy to have him back up. I think it's time. That
Clay
guy's
Stevenson, the as usual, the
yeah,
Capitals goaltender pool is very very bright. So there's guys coming up through the system for sure.
yeah. I let's go back to the Rangers here before Harry blows his brains out. But I just want to, give them credit again. And as much as it physically pains me to say this, and I'm going to spend the rest of the evening puking blood because I have to, compliment the New York Rangers, pretty much dominated every facet of that series. Puck movement was better. Power play was electric. Penalty kill was so frustrating to play against. I mean, they were just in the Caps' face left and right, shutting them down. Just relentless pressure pretty much the entire game. Neutral zone coverage was fantastic. I would say really the only time I saw the neutral zone coverage break down was like 3 or 4 times in that final fourth game. We saw Lappy go up the middle, split everyone, throw a great head fake, and put a great goal past Igor. But yeah, if you're the Rangers, you guys absolutely like you absolutely have the potential to be the real deal. I would be a little bit concerned, the whole rest versus rust thing. I wouldn't feel good about that. You're a Rangers fan, so obviously you have all the confidence in the world and your team can do no wrong anyways, but just a friendly reminder, and your broadcasters continue to prove it, that
Steve Valiquette is a fucking idiot.
Tom Wilson has a year-round timeshare right here for all of you.
We good? Did we get it all out there?
Matt Rempe can't play, and he will be exposed in the next round.
I in years past, Mac and I have come on here, like we mentioned, with our hoodies up and our sunglasses on, if like the team didn't make the playoffs or like when they got bounced the year after, winning the cup to Carolina. But this one, I think we knew how it was gonna go before that puck even got dropped. We were like, this is over. Let's just get it over with, and on more of an off season here for the fellas. They've earned it.
Are we good now?
Yeah.
The group therapy session, kind of, you got it all out there. Like it feels
Yep.
okay. Okay. Wow. Sports fandom is a mental disease. And let me tell you why. This whole President's Trophy curse, everyone says like the curse, the curse, the curse. They sweep a team who, let's just be honest, was one of the weaker playoff teams we've seen in recent memory.
It was the weakest, you can say.
They make quick work of them, and everyone's like, "Oh, the rest." It's like, well, did you want them to go six? Because then everyone's gonna be like, the Rangers couldn't handle the Capitals, and now they're gonna take on the Hurricanes, and how's that gonna work? The Hurricanes are doing what the Rangers avoided, which is playing more periods, more risk of injury. You look at that Adam Fox knee-to-knee collision. Like if I was a Rags fan, my heart sank to my stomach. You lose your number one D man, you're kind of screwed, but. Yeah, I mean, listen, was the scoreboard technically close in most of these games? I guess you could argue that, but I know I speak for a lot of hockey fans after reading some comments. There was not one instance other than maybe game two where I thought the Capitals had a chicken shit stick chance that they could have tied or made an effort to win a game. It's almost like the
You didn't think
Rangers
they had a
didn't
chance at
try.
winning game four?
No, there was not. And I'm not even
Second intermission, 2-2. You didn't feel like there was a chance?
the second they took that penalty and Panarin, I was like, this is over. Like, and it's not a shot at you guys. It's just like
No,
the
I think you can
Rangers
look at,
are so much
yes,
better.
yeah, exactly. I think some
Yeah.
of those penalties were dumb. A lot of them were necessary. Like
Yeah.
you have to pull a guy
That's
down.
true.
Yeah,
You have to stop a guy. I mean, it's one of those things you do. And then, we've learned the phrase no free lunches. You can, save yourself a little bit of time there, but you're going to get it within the next 2 minutes is exactly how it goes. I think, I totally get where you're coming from when you're saying, President's Trophy curse, how can we be hard on this team because they just swept someone? I think it's what Max said at the beginning. It's like, what do you feel more comfortable about going into your second round series? The fact that you just played The Hershey Bears or the fact that
Yeah.
you just beat the Tampa Bay Lightning in 5 games?
I'll take the rest any day of the week. It's this time of year, I'll take the rest. Maybe that backfires on him. I don't know, but um, yeah, the Ovechkin thing, little weird. Good job dodging the actual stats. So I'll read it here. No points in the series and 6 shots on goal the entire series. His previous low in a series was 17 shots on net, which it's quite a difference. Not ragdolling Ovi.
I also don't think we've ever been swept in the OVR. Or no, we have once by the
Tampa
Lightning.
2010.
But yeah, well, all right, true.
So, it happens. They were mismatched, but like I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm gonna stand up for the Rags fans here. Like they basically just wiped their hands clean and washed it and got a nice little wet towelette, warmed their hands up back again, and they're done. Like
It
it's
was a
so
quick 4 course meal for them. I'm not going to deny that at all. It
there was
was.
no overtime. I mean, they played 12 periods of hockey and just like it literally looked like they weren't trying. And Mark said that last night. He goes, "We're playing terrible." He's like, "We're playing a horrible game 4." I
But
said,
see,
"Yeah, but you're still gonna win."
that's what worries me though. Like
Right.
going forward for them.
Eh,
That's what I'm saying. They haven't had to like turn up the Jets yet. I think they for sure lose game one of the next round.
Wow. What
I
did you guys think of Igor? I'd
it,
love to get your
Incredible.
opinions on that.
it looked
Incredible.
good.
I
It
thought he
looked
was
good.
amazing.
They beat Carolina, in my opinion. I mean, I
Yeah.
picked them to go to the cup, but yeah, yeah, I do think so. They've
I'm
got
not
a lot
ready.
of
I'm not ready to make a decision on that one. It'll
well,
be a good series.
For
we
sure.
we kind of beat that one up for such a quick series, but naturally that's what we do here.
The
Uh,
best part about that series is one of those teams is going home. I'm sorry.
That really is the best part. Yeah.
and
I love
shout
how we're
out
just not even I'm sorry, Dean. We're not even like giving the Islanders a snowball chance in hell at coming back in that series. We're just treating them like they've already been eliminated.
Pretty much.
that'll be the last one we get to. We got 2 more here. We've got the Bruins versus the Leafs, and feels like we've already been recording for an hour, but here we are. Just the most juicy storylines from this first round. The Boston Bruins win game 4 in Toronto 3-1 and take a commanding 3-1 series lead. And the best part of this all is that the on-ice drama really isn't even the biggest storyline. We've got Nylander, Marner, Matthews screaming at each other, telling them to stop fucking crying, bro. This isn't junior hockey. Marner gets torched by the media. The Toronto Sun is torching Matthews. He's got the stomach flu or some shit, and now he might not play game 5. Morning line rushes don't include him. Tyler Bertuzzi wishes he never left his ex. And here we are. Like, this is just a circus of Canadian media that
It's
is just
this
so
Wow. You
perfect.
nailed
hands
that.
down
Holy
is
shit.
like my favorite episode of Jersey Shore I've ever seen.
Yes. Yeah. God, it's so fun. Yeah, I was just talking to my sister and my dad this evening about how none of us hate the Maple Leafs. We have no issue with them.
No,
Just it's just so entertaining to watch them
it's
like
like watching the Cowboys or the Yankees lose. It's like I have to hear about them every single day for 365 days a year. So when like shit starts going wrong for the 11th season in a row, yes, it's quite humorous.
it's literally the Jerry Seinfeld eating popcorn thing where he's just like, that's a shame.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
So that we'll go through a game 4 recap real quick. JVR opens the scoring for the Bees off a brutal turnover from Ryan Reeves, and I love that the cameraman panned right to Reeves after, where he's got his stick above his head and he slams it down on the ice. You could tell he was frustrated on that one, and I know that made Mac happy. Brad Marchand, oh my goodness, the father, the grandfather at this point in his career of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Chairman of the board, CEO, and president of hockey operations or lack thereof.
He scores a power play goal to make it 2-0 that sucked the absolute wind out of Toronto. And then to make matters worse, he strips TJ Brody of the puck and feeds Pastrnak to make it 3-0 for the final dagger. And of course, at second intermission, TNT Biz just destroys Mitch Marner. And everyone in Toronto destroys Mitch Marner. He scores a goal in the third period. And the only thing that the fans are saying is like, and what's the meme? It's like, and Josh Allen scores a touchdown to make it 42-7 Chiefs. And it's like one of those things where it's like, buddy, the game's over. Why are we doing this? But yeah. just a bad game all
No, I
around.
have a feeling that like to get Mitch Marner out of Toronto, we're gonna have to send like an undercover like SWAT like team or SEAL Team 6 in to get him
It's
out
like
because
Argo, the movie
no, literally,
Argo.
or like Black Hawk Down or something where we have to like helivac him out. But Mac, I actually want to like give you a shout out here. You nailed this in our last episode when we were talking about the goaltending situation. You were like, I think the Swayman thing, the Allmark thing has sorted itself out now. Nailed it. Absolutely crushed
Yeah.
it. That is so true. I don't see how you go back to Allmark at any point in this postseason. Then that's not a knock on him. It's just, that team plays a lot better with Swayman and net. I think Swayman stepped up his game a little bit more than Allmark did. And you don't really change something that's going this good right now for the Boston Bruins.
Yep. And back to the Marner thing for a second too. I kind of defend this guy because I also just hate how the Canadian, especially Toronto media, just like absolutely is such a cancer to so many of these players that don't deserve it. But I will say, what kind of changed my mind this postseason is that it's a nothing play that maybe a lot of people haven't even seen. But I sent it to you fellas. It's that play where Marner like shies away from the hit and just doesn't go after the puck and lets the other guy get it because he doesn't want to get hit. It's shit like that to me. It's not like the lack of like scoring or whatever, like or being emotional on the bench. Like I don't care about like most of that stuff, but it's little plays like that I see that are like just a huge turnoff to me that I'm like, oh my God, that is brutal to see at the NHL level in the playoffs. Like you cannot act like that.
No, you want like guys in your lineup that are doing the polar opposite of that. And I think that absolutely has to, have an effect on his teammates when they see that. Because
Yeah.
I think one of the best things about a hockey team in the Stanley Cup playoffs is you're all, putting on your boots, you're all going to battle in the trenches for each
Yes.
other, shift in and shift out. Everyone's going to do it. Everyone's pulling their weight. And when teammates see that, I feel like they got to lose confidence in the guy a
Yeah.
little bit. And I know you mentioned that the media is cancerous, and it absolutely is. I think some of the journalistic integrity
Oh,
there has
if you
completely
even
gone
want to
out the
call it
window.
journalism, yeah.
It's a hit piece at this point. Let's be real, but I totally agree with everything you said. And when you sent that clip, it is pretty showing, just in that minute or so video that you sent.
Like, so the thing is, I'm not going to assume, like, I think everybody thinks that they know who was yelling at who and what was said. I actually watched a video that I sent you guys. I think the YouTube channel is like Next Guy Up or Next Man Up. It's a hockey channel. And he dissects like where they were looking at on the bench and like all this shit. This is what our life has come to.
It's like the John Boy for hockey.
Yeah, yeah, basically. And it looks like maybe Nylander might have been saying under his breath, like something to Marner because Matthews was ripping Marner. I don't know. For one way or another, I truly don't care. Like, honestly, I kind of like that they're kind of going back and forth at each other. The difference is this looks like more of a personal jab than like one of those things where someone says, "Hey, get the puck deep there, get the fucking puck deep there." Like this is more,
Or,
"Hey,
hey, I'm
stop."
open. Like, just it's
Yeah,
it's definitely deeper than that. I think it's just all the frustration is coming to a head now.
we've seen Kessel and Gino do this. Remember that famous clip where Kessel's like he's like chomping at the bit, and him
Yeah.
and Gino are fighting on the bench, but it's about where they're passing the puck. It's not about, hey, stop crying. This is a junior hockey.
Yeah, and there was some of the announcers, I forget which ones were talking about that exact same thing, saying like this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's a good thing to hold your teammates accountable. And they were saying we even do it on a broadcast level sometimes, like chirping at each other, saying, "Hey, why didn't you
Eddie
chime in
Olczyk will
on
do it
this?" Or
live.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's not inherently a bad thing, but it's just we don't have all the details, and it could be a
Right.
bad thing. So
And one more thing about Swayman, shout out to him. He's been a brick wall this series. He's definitely got the Leafs number this year. You guys already know all the stats, but he is leading the playoffs in save percentage with a 956. That is ridiculous. So
Absolutely.
you ride that hot hand. We'll move on, but before we do, last thing on Matthews, Sheldon Keefe had this exact quote. I got it here in front of me for his status for Game 5. Keefe said, for whatever reason, it's not one of those run-of-the-mill, everyday type of illnesses that sort of come and go. Leafs coach Keefe said, this one has lingered and the effects have lingered and has gotten worse when he's getting on the ice and asserting himself. End quote. I have no idea what this guy has.
Does he have the fucking shits?
I
Like,
heard
is it
food
just
Or
poisoning.
like vertigo or something, like something where getting on the
that's
ice
what I'm worried
is
about.
like making him dizzy or something like that.
That's what I'm worried about because when he says this isn't something that comes and goes, if it's something that lingers, that I thought that exact same thing, vertigo or like I don't know, like
I
did
don't
he
know.
get a hit weird and like something with his like ear,
Like
like
a
his
pinched nerve or
balance or
something,
yeah, like
maybe.
I don't know because what the other last thing I'll say and then we can move on. He got pulled by like spotters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you spot an illness like that? You know what I mean? Like
I
it almost had to be something like balance related or like
yeah.
optic. Like what else can you optically identify? I don't know.
I feel like when you hear like is held out with illness and like will not practice and is away from the team, you're like, okay, like there's a pretty nasty like stomach bug going around or the
Yeah, the
flu and
flu,
pneumonia. You don't want
COVID.
to exactly like you
Yeah,
don't want to get your teammate sick. This I have no idea. And
This
I
doesn't sound
honestly
like that.
we're not going to have any idea for about 3 more months, but who knows? I mean, obviously we hope everything's okay. I think everyone on this podcast can consider themselves a AM34 fan. I certainly would,
I
but
love the guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So
I'll say this too. You can bet your bottom dollar that if Austin Matthews does not play in game 5, it's something serious. Like that
yeah,
this guy is not fucking like sitting out for
Yeah, no.
something stupid. So
yeah.
all you fucking idiot Toronto media people that are going to roast him for this, you're going to feel real bad in a couple weeks or whatever when we find out what's actually going on because it's probably something really serious if he's actually going to miss like the most important game of his career arguably.
I would think so. Last question I have for you guys on the Leafs. This is pretty simple. Does Sheldon Keefe come back as head coach if and when they lose this
No.
series?
No, not a
No.
chance.
Total
The,
agreement. I think
it,
this has gone on 2 years too long, in my
it's
opinion.
also such they were talking about on the broadcast today with the Panthers and Lightning series. It's head coach in the NHL has got to be like the most unforgiving job, especially right now. This is a league that's seen like almost 50% of their coaches fired over the last like 2 years. So
It's crazy.
Kraken fired theirs today.
yeah, and we're talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs. So yeah, he's definitely getting fired if they lose.
Right. And then the clock just starts until they hire Q, right?
Our buddy Singsy sent out a tweet that Sheldon Keefe will be coaching the Pittsburgh Penguins next season, to which I said, I will cry myself to sleep. So, yeah,
Totally on board for that
we're
because
not going
there's
there.
no way that that
We're
could get
we're
fucked
we're
up at all.
we're not entertaining this conversation. We're moving on. Game 5 will be, I think it's tomorrow. So today, when you're listening to this, let's see if Matthews laces him up. This
Do the
last,
Bruins close? Yes or no?
Yes.
yeah,
100%. I agree.
I think it's done deal, but we'll see. Last series, gonna go a little quick. We're running late here, but Canes up 3-1. Game 4, Islanders win a 3-2 overtime thriller. Barzell pots 2 goals, gets the game winner off a tip from Bortuzzo. The Islanders started Sorokin in game 3. They went back to Varlamov in game 4. I don't have too much to say because I love you, Isles fans. Long Island's a great place. I think it's awesome. I always have fun when I go up there, but this series is dead to me. And I hate that I got to sign this series because I hate watching these games. They're very boring. And I just want the Canes to win so we can watch like a real fun series, actually. So
It's
sorry.
a little bit of like goodbye, good riddance. Thanks for coming, but I don't know if the Islanders are done. Maybe they get one more here, but I don't think it's going to go on much longer than that.
I'll throw you a little bone, Isles fans, because I know there's actually a good bit of you listening out there, and I've got some family ties to the Isles as well. So I don't mind that team. I certainly like them better than the Carolina Hurricanes. What I liked about that overtime win, a lot of times you see a team win a game like that to make it 3-1 instead of 3-0. And there's not a ton of emotion. It's kind of like, yeah, whoop de doo. We still got a lot of work to do. I loved how fired up they were for that overtime goal and that overtime win because to me that looks like a group that still believes, and I want to think that Patrick Waugh has that going through the locker room that like I don't care you need 4 wins, not 3, and they don't have it yet. So
Yeah, absolutely. We had a couple friends of the program that had boots on the ground for that one, Dean and then Mike Comparetto as well. And great picture of him and his nephew Lorenzo with Bob Nystrom, Islanders legend, Stanley
that's
Cup
awesome.
OT goal scorer. I mean,
That's
doesn't get much
super
better than
awesome.
that. But yeah, the passion is definitely there. The goaltending situation for New York. We saw Sorokin, then we
It's
didn't.
weird.
What do you guys think is going on there? Do you stick with Varley? I feel like you just have to at this point
At
because
this point, you
whatever's going
do.
on with Sorokin is just not working.
Yeah, at this point, it's probably like an off-season thing you figure out or whatever. But it's weird. At this point, there's no way it makes sense to flip flop again. Just stick to Varley and do what you can. I think.
Game 5 at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on the day you're listening to this Tuesday. Who do you guys have for Game 5? The Canes close it out.
I got the Canes.
Is this in Carolina? Where's this at?
It is in Caniac
Mm,
country. I
Where do the
cringed at
Hurricanes
saying
play
that.
again?
doesn't matter.
Raleigh. I don't know
Oh
what the
my
fuck it's
god,
called.
Raleigh.
Raleigh.
Sure. Move the team to Charlotte.
Isles win. Isles win.
You say Isles win.
Isles
Oh,
win.
Canes win. Parlay it with Seth Jarvis. Anytime goal. You're welcome. All right, let's wrap up with some playoff questions and trivia, and we're out of here. Quick playoff question. Who is your Conn Smythe bet right now if you had to bet?
Carter Verhage.
Ooh, that's a good one.
My question is because I had also added this. Is this can I only pick teams that have moved on?
No, you can pick any team you want. That's still in it, obviously. There's no
Hmm.
capitals that you can pick, is really what I'm saying.
No, I know I'm not picking a team that's eliminated,
You can
but
put Dylan Strome on the fucking ballot.
Steven Stamkos. God, I don't know. Verhage is probably what I would have said. I'll say honestly, I'll say Shesterkin, but the Rangers aren't going to the Cup final, so
Oh. So you aren't saying it's just Sturkin.
well, as of this moment, I am.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Current Mac is saying Shesterkin. Future Mac, totally different story.
Yes.
Give me all hail Kale, Mr. McCarr.
It's a good one
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
Any
He's
dark
balling.
horses in there for you guys? Any toss ups that you were between or
I was thinking about this one. You guys might disagree on how far they can go. I know Mac will, but I think Swayman could be a dark horse. I think the Bees, they got something.
I
that's a
don't
good one.
necessarily disagree with that.
Well,
I think
they got to play the Cats.
I don't know if you can call this guy a dark horse
I
at all. I
like the
just feel
Cats.
like if the Abs win like one more series, McKinnon is gonna have like
Yeah.
6 goals in 4 games or something absurd like that.
Yeah.
Harry, by the way, I like the Cats, but I don't necessarily think they're going all the way. I think they
Okay.
could, but I definitely think the Bees could give them a run for their money. I think Swayman's a good pick.
Fuck it. Let's throw Hyman in there.
Yeah. Oh,
Sure.
absolutely.
He's playing out
No,
of his mind.
absolutely. I think that's totally fair.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna wrap up with trivia. Before we do, I know Mac has a word from the sponsor of the trivia segment, Elwood's Liquor and Tap.
Elwoods, we love you guys. So, just a reminder to support your local dive bar and have a beer at Elwood's Liquor and Tap, home of the Pizza Luge, located in the heart of downtown Milwaukee. On Water Street, this 70s inspired bar has a little something for everybody from daily happy hour, rotating taps, free birthday perks, and a four-season patio. A good time is always right around the corner at Elwood's. And with the full NHL package, plus TV screens inside and out, hockey fans can watch any game, anytime. And don't leave your dogs at home. They're a dog friendly bar. Guys, we'll see you down at Elwood's. Also, if you're in the Milwaukee area, uh, can't think of a better place to go to before or after an Admirals game. Admirals are also in the playoffs starting this week, and their first home playoff game will be next week. So, great spot for that as well.
All right, this week I found a beautiful trivia question brought to us by Sportsnet Stats on Twitter, and I want to apologize to you boys in advance because this is really fucking hard. If you guys get this right, I'd be shocked. So I'm definitely going to help you with some hints along the way, just given the time we're running on. So the Canucks, as you guys know, have won 3 games this series against the Predators with 3 different goalies: Demko, DeSmith, and Shilovs. Can you remember the last time an NHL team had a playoff series where 3 different goalies all registered a win? Could you name the team, the year, and bonus points if you know who the goalies were?
So not even just got a start, like 3 different goalies won a game in a playoff series.
Won a game. Yep.
To win a game, do you have to be the starter?
Yes, I think. It
Or
doesn't
is it
say in the
or is
stat,
it
but
play the most minutes out of the two?
I
I'm
don't know.
assuming it's starters since these three goalies that are current day all started.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah.
Is it?
So
It's not the Penguins.
so that was a very popular guess, but no, it is not the
Yeah, I had to rule that out.
I do not
I
think
didn't
Louis
think they all
Domingue.
won, right? Yeah.
No, Louis, because Casey Smith got hurt. Haha, sounds familiar. And then Domingue came in.
Okay.
I'll give you a hint on this. It's a while ago, like before 2010. Like think of that time of life, that 2000 to 2009.
Okay.
Okay. So not like a while ago, as in like
Yeah.
No,
1970 or
All
before.
right. All
Gotcha.
right. All right.
yeah, it's hard.
Eastern or Western Conference?
It is a Western Conference team.
Okay.
Is it
Okay.
the Colorado Avalanche?
It is not.
Shit.
Preds?
It is not the Preds.
They probably weren't even in the playoffs then.
Right.
Mm,
Is it the
Yeah,
Calgary Flames?
so they were the
that's a good
team who
guess.
got beat. It is not
Ooh.
the team who started. So this was a playoff series against the Flames where this team had three different goalies win.
I guess
And
that's a stupid guess because Mika would have been starting them all, but
It's not the Canucks again. Well, they would have had Luongo back then.
wow.
it is the Vancouver
What?
Canucks. They are the last team to do it.
Wait, let me see if I can get the goalies.
If you get them, I'll sell you
Hold
two
on,
grand.
hold on, hold on.
Okay.
I might be able to help here too.
This is
So, all right,
wild.
let's tag team this thing.
Could
So,
Corey Schneider be one of them?
I was thinking Corey
No.
Schneider, Luongo, Eddie Lack. So,
So
obviously not that.
this is pre-Luongo era.
Really? Oh,
So, this is like red and blue Canucks, not
This is
green and blue
this is
Canucks.
red and blue 2004.
oh
Holy
shit. Okay.
shit. Who
Okay.
was
Wait,
the
wait, wait, wait. Fuck.
This
What
is
was this
hard.
guy's name? Oh my god. Hold on. Oh,
I'd be shocked if you guys get one.
have you ever heard of the three of them?
I've heard of two of the three, but you got to dig into the memory bank here.
Is Mike Vernon one of them? I don't even
He
know if he played
That's
for
a
the
good.
Canucks.
I think that
he is not. I'll give you another hint. All three of these goalies that register to win, you would think of in terms of their career as backup goalies, probably.
and did they move around like they played for other teams?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really hard. Like I said, I don't know if you guys will get one.
Oh, what about like maybe like Alex Ald or something?
Wow, Alex
Is that
Ald
actually one of them?
that is one of the names.
Where did you
Let's go.
pull that from?
Alex Ald had a hockey card of his.
So there are two more. I'll give you a hint on one of them. One of them also played for the Pittsburgh Penguins in the early 2000s, and he is a Swedish goaltender.
Johan Hedberg.
That is correct.
Ooh.
The third one is tough. To be honest, I don't even know how to give a
Hold
hint for
on.
this guy.
Hold on. There's still a guy that I'm trying to think of that's like on the tip of my tongue that I feel like is in that. You said 04.
Yes.
Can I get a nationality for this last guy? Because I feel like I might have one.
Canadian.
Never mind.
Yeah, no, this is who I'm thinking of. This is like a French Canadian guy, maybe.
It's kind of got a. So I'll give you another hint. He's got a very different looking goalie mask. It's not a normal one. He rocked like kind of like a Hasek, but not quite the same.
Ooh. Mm.
You know it. You definitely know it. I think.
Is it my boy DC?
Dan
Yes.
Cloutier. Dan
Let's
Cloutier.
go.
Yes.
It
Yes.
is
That's
DC.
exactly who I was thinking of.
It is
Let's
DC.
go.
Good
Let's
job,
go.
fellas. Holy hell.
Holy shit.
That was impressive. I got to give it to you.
By the
I
way, if
gotta
you
give
want
it
to
to you.
know, like if you're, a woman or you didn't have this experience, what boys that are our age do in our free time, it's that.
It's
It's
that.
sit around and drink and name backup goalies or backup quarterbacks from the early 2000s.
That's the only reason I know that shit.
That's
Dan-
what we're
Hockey
doing when we're
card
not.
collection. Alex
Yeah,
Ald.
that's what
Hell
we're
yeah.
doing when we're not texting you back, essentially.
DC was a hell of a pool, Nick. I didn't know if you'd get it based on the
Dan
helmet.
Cloutier.
As
Yeah.
soon as you
Yeah.
said the helmet thing, I was
Yeah.
like,
That's exactly who I was trying to think of. French Canadian, I think.
The Alex Ald one was very impressive, Mac. I'll give you credit.
my
I love
favorite,
all.
my favorite Alex Ald memory. It was the year Ovi scored 65. There was just like a January throwaway game between the Caps and the Bruins. The Caps were up 5-0 in the first period. Tim Thomas was in for like the first three. He gets yanked. Alex All goes in. The Caps were up like 10-1 by the time the third period started. And
Jeez. I think
Ald had
I remember that.
Ald had gone in, got pulled, and they put Tim Thomas back
That's
in.
incredible. That's
I think that
incredible.
was the only year he played for the Bruins, too.
Probably.
That's fucking hilarious.
Well, good stuff, fellas. That was a fun one. I when I saw it, I was like, this is such a good question. But
That was
That was
hard.
a great one. I love
Yeah.
that.
at
The
least I
brain
warned
was
you.
the brain was working hard there.
I warned you on that one. All right, that about wraps it up for this episode. Just a reminder, follow Empty Betters on Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok. We're trying to get a little more social media traction on those, and also on the YouTube. We've been pumping for the last 4 months, a ton of YouTube content. Huge shout out to Nick for always being a beast editing those videos. And lastly, check out the merch on our store. You can click on the link in any of our social bios, and you'll see a little thing that says merch store, and it'll take you over there.
Yeah. Fun fact, they've got really cool hats. You should wear one. Just
Yeah,
saying.
I agree. I may or may not be wearing one as we speak. So
Same.
there you go. You know what it looks like forwards and backwards. All right, everybody. We appreciate the love and support as always. Enjoy the rest of round one. We'll be back with you later this week, potentially maybe wrapping up round one and doing some round two previews. But without further ado,
Class dismissed.